Okay, here we go. Welcome back to some more Final Fantasy VII Remake. Hope you all are doing well, having a great day, and have a great week. Remember to subscribe, hit that like button, enable notifications, and leave me a comment. So this is going to be my explanation of what I've read and the story of Final Fantasy Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake, from what I've read, and this is also going to be explaining Final Fantasy VII, the original game story. So, spoiler warning if you haven't seen that, but it is specifically for the people that, like myself, that haven't played it and didn't know it. So, just be aware that this is what it's going to be. So, with that, let's get into it. Okay, so it all begins with the ancients and them being on the planet and being able to work with Mako and the live stream of the planet. And then they have this cataclysmic event where a meteor comes, and in the meteor actually is Genova, which is like an alien something. And it's that female form that you discover there in the lab while you're playing the game, which I actually asked if it's the remains of Eros' mother, but it's Genova. And apparently she did threaten the ancients, so the ancients managed to lock her up, but not kill her, but like in stasis or something. And then Shinra actually discovers Genova, thinking she's an ancient, and does experiments on her. And that is where Hojo actually comes in, and he actually is Sephiroth's father. He was in love with a Shinra scientist named Lucretia Crescent, and he actually killed her husband or boyfriend, and they together had Sephiroth, and then Hojo went and experimented on Sephiroth with Genova cells. So then what happens is uh, then you meet Cloud and Zack, and like Hojo says in the game, when you meet him, Cloud actually never was a soldier. He never made it to soldier. He uh, just became a ranked mercenary, but never a soldier. And then he and Zack and Sephiroth were together, and then Sephiroth finds out he is this science experiment, and with Genova cells, goes completely crazy and burns down and kills everyone in Cloud Strife's village of Nibelheim, his hometown. So then Cloud and Zack go after Sephiroth and confront him in some other Shinra lab or something, and Zack actually gets injured, and Cloud manages to stab uh, Sephiroth, thinking he killed him, and then Shinra actually gets, and Hojo gets Cloud and Zack, and for about 4 years, Hojo experimented on Zack and Cloud with Genova cells. Now, it didn't take on Zack for some reason because he was a previous soldier. So then they managed to escape. Cloud's in a coma, and Zack actually puts soldier clothes on him to help with the escape. Then he and Cloud travel together. Zack tells him his adventures as a soldier, and then they on the way to Midgard, they get that where they're ambushed by soldiers, and Zack actually gets killed, and Cloud takes the Buster Sword and goes to Midgard, and that is more or less where Final Fantasy Remake starts off. But that is where the similarity ends. Then to understand the story of Remake, you have to actually think in the terms of multiverses and different timelines and destiny and stuff like that. And then also that that it's called remake and not remastered. So they're not going with the story of the original Final Fantasy game. So that's more or less where the similarities end. So just to explain how we get to this point in the game, how Cloud is there and Midgar. So then now is where we get to this point where you meet Sephiroth again, and you have to remember through the story that they also made to try and remake Sephiroth, they made these clones, and that's all those ones you see with the number 47 and number 2 and the robes and just mumbling about reunion. And Sephiroth can control them because they've got Genova cells, like in Advent Children, Children the movie. And these whispers, they're trying to keep it on the story that the original timeline where everything happened like in the first game, but now Sephiroth is actually challenging them to change destiny. And what they have here is they don't explain it completely, but it's either this Sephiroth knows that his plans failed in the original timeline and he's trying to change that, or it's the Sephiroth from the original timeline universe and he's now trying to change the timeline. Now he wants to become a god. He wants to have this cataclysmic event at the location of where the ancient was, and apparently it's where Midgar is now. And then, as it happens, he wants to absorb the power and to become a god. Now, while you're fighting him all the time, you get these visions of like the original timeline and stuff like that. Now, if you see here where they actually show Zack, they're showing that he can see that the whispers and what's happening there, and that this is more or less where the timelines are starting to merge or coincide and stuff. So something is happening here. And then this is the fight that where Zack dies and Cloud takes the Buster Sword and goes to Midgar. Now it also does seem that Aerith on some level knows that something's wrong here and this isn't how the timeline's supposed to be. And she is somewhat aware of it and trying to convince them to stop the Sephiroth and feel that it's wrong. Then the one thing is like I mentioned it in my fight, but just to reference it again, something that I also mentioned is the whispers you fight here. They've one's got a sword, one's got like guns, and one's got fists. So it's almost like it's other timeline or future versions of Cloud and Tifa and Barret that trying to stop them. And that part where you fight the ghosts, it's almost like I thought that was visions that Cloud was having or something, but it almost seems that it's just a ghost that's like giving you funny visions. But during the game, those visions that Cloud has, it's because of the Genova cells he shares with Sephiroth that he's actually like experiencing some of the time changes and timeline changes and seeing some of it. And this is what they're talking about, the Destiny's Crossroads, where you now actually face the Whisper or Harbinger of Fate, and you actually change the timeline, and now they have it more or less where with Final Fantasy Rebirth, they can almost go in any direction they want because you have now altered the timeline, altered the story. So during that fight is when you get all those visions of the normal timeline and how it would be. And then after you defeat him, you get this image of Destiny's Crossroads where anything is possible, where the timelines are different. We've changed destiny now. Now, the funny thing is, this almost looks like it is a vision that you're seeing, but see, this is what Sephiroth wanted. He wanted this moment, and then he wants to absorb the power. So, if this isn't a vision, then he has absorbed it, and he became a god. The story is very confusing, even still, after we have they explain it and you have an idea of what's going on. Well, you see there, that's more or less how Sephiroth can sort of control Cloud because he's got Genova cells. Not completely, but he does have sometimes where he like stalls him and freezes him and calms him. And then this is like another dimension or something where they're in, like they call it the edge of creation. Yeah, the final showdown between them. Where he actually tempts Cloud. And now remember, although Cloud isn't a soldier, he did have Mako poisoning or Mako used on him and even Genova cells. So that's why he's kind of like a soldier. Now, this next part, the 7 seconds, they're not even sure, the creators are sure what they meant with this. But my personal thoughts on that is this edge of creation, it's another dimension or something. So maybe time is different there. Maybe 7 seconds is 7 years or 7 months, because in Rebirth it does look like you do have some time that you're working and traveling and stuff. So maybe it's 7 years. So here is where the time now starts changing because you defeated Destiny. Here, Zack actually survives. Also, do pay attention, this packet over here, Stamp looks different than what he does in the game when you play Remake. His Stamp there's got like, it's a different breed of dog, and he's got a helmet on, where this one in the pack's got like a hat on and it's a terrier or something. And as you see, Zack has this, he sees what's happened here in Midgar, and it like meshes the timeline or something. And see, instead of like Cloud actually like waking up and taking the Buster Sword, Zack actually, he's Cloud's still there in the coma, and Zack actually like carry walks him to Midgar. And then also, sorry if I didn't make it clear, is Cloud is under the impression he's a soldier because he's dressed like it, and while he was in the coma, while Zack told him the stories, he now thinks that's his life, his stories, and how he was a soldier. And here is where you can actually see that Biggs is alive, and those gloves next to him isn't his, that's Jesse's. So it suggested that she also might be alive. So I'm actually glad that if they did survive, that they did survive, because I was really bummed that they died. And then at the ending, you can see where they're like walking, and you can actually see where Zack and Aerith's time, where this universe time more or less starts meshing, and it almost looks like they're aware of it, Zack and Aerith. And then also, if you didn't know, and one of the other reasons I'm glad I didn't um, romance Aerith, Zack is Aerith's boyfriend. They're together. And like I said, in the original one, she died, but now he didn't. So now they can be together again. And if you actually saw Yuffie's ending, uh, it actually shows where ends up at the church where Aerith is and wants to go say hello to her, but unfortunately, she's not there, and only their refugees are after dropping plate 7 on them. So that is my explanation of it, and how I understand it, and what I saw, and so on. I hope you all are well, and I hope you enjoy. Have a great day. See you in another video.